Charles Barkley says the entire state of New York is overrated. Shaq got some very disturbing, sad news that a lot of NBA players deal with that doesn't get talked about. And a former Sixer and Pacer calls a current Sixer and former Pacer pairing possibly soft. Interesting day here in the sports world. Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with yours, Kwame Fisher-Jones. As always, I am him. And I'm joined today by my man, Smoke Freezy, to jump in the fray with me. So before we get to the fun topics, I want to start off with Shaquille O'Neal's ex-wife, Shaunie Henderson, saying, quote, and I want to make sure I got this quote right. She said that looking back, I don't know that I was ever really in love with the man, but I was in love with the idea of being married to the man I had a family with. The former basketball wife star said that their relationship was strained. Her former marriage to Shaquille O'Neal, for those who don't know, or those who know a little bit about, they were married for, I want to say, about 7 years, filed for divorce. It took about 2 years for the divorce. Well, no, they were married for 7 years, and they were married, and then she filed for divorce. They tried to reconcile, but then she filed again in 2009. And it was finalized in 2011. She said that it wasn't Shaquille O'Neal's fault, that he was trying to be a 30-something multi-millionaire star with all these women throwing themselves at him. And he did the best he could. She said that a few years after their divorce, they had a conversation, and it was a very honest and satisfying conversation, where O'Neal said, quote, what was crazy is that the cheating was an ego boost. It wasn't even about the girl. It wasn't about me falling for someone and having feelings for her. It was about getting away with it. It was he saying about getting another girl, then another girl, then another one, and about the conquest. Now, the first thing, before we get into it, his son, Sharif, said, it's crazy. This dude literally saved my life. And then he posted another comment and said, you're the most lovable person I know. Shaq responded and said, I understand. I wouldn't have loved me either. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it, the reason why I brought you on is because this is something that I've said and it kind of gets glossed over. You know, I talked about it with Kyrie Irving and him talking about his mental health issues of being in the NBA. And the first thing people say is, you know, Laura Ingraham said, shut up and dribble. What are you doing?
Go ahead, my
what
bad.
Are you doing?
I had to repost mine. Go ahead.
Oh, man, I love you, dude. I love you, dude. So Kyrie Irving talks about his mental health.
You can edit it out, though.
No, I can't edit it out, but it is what it is.
You can?
I can't edit it out.
You can.
It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it.
Be professional.
So Kyrie, I'm being professional, but I'm still gonna laugh at you. It's still hilarious. So Kyrie Irving talked about his mental health issues. There's something to DeMar DeRozan. And a lot of people say, well, they make millions of dollars, so they should be okay. And before I address the money aspect, this is something that doesn't get discussed enough when you're talking about NBA players. More than any other play, more than any other sport, NBA players are prey for people. And I often say, imagine waking up one morning, all right, and you got all the money that you could imagine, all the money you've ever wanted. But the cost that you had to pay was anybody who actually truly loved you before you had the money is no longer allowed to be in your life. The only people that are around you now are people who either want or need something from you. And you have to operate as if that's okay. And this isn't just like his agent or an NBA coach or a general manager or a friend. These are these dudes' wives and friends. Think about this.
I think about it a lot.
Are more, how can I say this? They ain't top prize at the fair. They ain't the best looking dudes. They've somehow popularized high water pants, tight clothes, you know what I mean? Bad haircuts. Like they popularize this as if it's okay, as if, you know, it's whatever. Gender neutral clothes, whatever. But the women they marry are usually beautiful. And you're telling me that these women would talk to these dudes if they didn't have this money? They know they wouldn't. Not only that, they're taking trips with these women. They're having children with these women. and they're hearing the stories about former players and their ex-wives or ex-girlfriends or whatever, and filing for divorce, suing them for money, child support. And they have to be looking at the woman that they're next to like, does she really love me? Or does she love the idea of the lifestyle? And that to hear Shaunie say that, and Shaq just kind of, and I don't know if he's in therapy. I don't know the ins and outs, but to him to handle it as classy as he did, I applaud him. But it's something that these players deal with far too often, and it saddens me and bothers me because I don't think people understand that what it's like to be 20 and not have anyone in your life who gives a rip about you, and they don't. You are a commodity. You are an accessory. You are something that has a value on it. And once you're no longer valuable, your team no longer wants you. Your friends no longer want you. The people who have given you things no longer want you. You're of no use to them. We're going to talk about Big Baby Davis in a second, trying to get money. But it's so crazy to think about that.
It just
For her
seems
to
like the
come out and
promise of
say
an NFL career is so much more than just balling in the league and you're going to make millions of dollars. It's that element that's outside of actually playing that comes with being in the league. It's difficult for a lot of players to manage it. Like you said, if you're 20 years old, you got all this money instantly. You're going to have all the women. And the women is a big part of the league. And you're going to get kids and divorce. And I couldn't imagine what that's like. You know what I'm saying? With all
that
these
before.
women.
You called me sexist, and I have a comment on YouTube said it was sexist too. But take away child support. Take away child support. If you have a baby with an NBA player and you dated for less than 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, put a number on it. Tell them they don't get child support. Tell them they don't get any child support. See how many of these babies will see how many players will have 11 kids at that point or 9 children at that point. Dwight Howard has at least 9 children. You're number 7 on that list. You're not looking at yourself like, and Dwight Howard is looking at you like, she don't love me. It's a miserable state of affairs. And I know, some players find love on the gram or they find love on social media. But the most sane dudes are usually the cats that marry their high school sweethearts of women they meet before they get into the league. Think about that, man. And when you said waking up with millions, it's not just millions. You can go to Wikipedia, you can go to any search engine and find out not only how much money they get paid from their team, but how much they get on endorsements, when their contract ends, when their pay dates are, what bank they're with. You can find all this. It's all public record. So these women find this and they go right after these dudes. And they know it. They have to live with it.
Victim, a mark right away.
I like the phrase victim. I like the phrase victim because they are. And people don't see it that way. They go, oh, well, don't mess with these women. You're 20-something years old.
Yeah. They think the life is glamorous, and it is to an extent. But the other side of the glamour is very dangerous.
Well, they're beautiful women. How can you tell a 20-something-year-old not to mess with them when one of the most famous stories in the world, in the oldest book in the world, my man fell victim to a woman. So we telling 20-year-olds don't do this. But even if you go back in time, women have brought down famous men for centuries. But at the beginning of time, whatever book, whatever religious belief, spiritual belief you have, there is a story of a great young man with many talents being brought down by a beautiful woman. So what are we asking them to do? Like I said, it's a way to fix that. It's take away child support. Take away child support. Now, of course, you got
what about prenups? Prenuptial, if you have
prenups don't work. Prenups and NDAs don't work.
What are you talking about? They don't work.
There are people that there are good lawyers out there that tear apart NDAs and prenups for lunch. Let's say for breakfast. Bill Cosby did time off an NDA. Bill Cosby did time off a woman breaking an NDA. She got the money and she got to tell the story. So I'm just saying,
Bill Cosby's worth millions of dollars. You just a regular cat. You wouldn't have to worry about, a lawyer breaking through a prenuptial.
You'd like to think. but they don't start at the
I
millionaires.
don't know. I couldn't say that for a fact, but I mean, I would think
They
that
don't
if you
start at the millionaires, B. They got to set a precedent. How do you set a precedent? With the regular cat.
yeah,
It's just the thing about it though, like it's so sad, man, and I feel bad. It's like, how can you feel bad for somebody that's worth millions? Because, when we talk about Jason Whitlock, I said this: when you live a life where people don't choose you, you don't know your value. You know, when you live a life where no one has chosen you, no one has said, you know what, I want to be with this guy. And so many stories, NBA players, like, I went on a date with this chick and she knew everything about my contract. I went on there with she knew it. Like, it's like, yo.
oh, she was
And
looking. You're looking at the
yeah,
money.
and I mean, like on one part of it is stay in your lane, dude. If you don't look like that, then you shouldn't be messing with them. But what can you do? It's just sad to hear her say that, man. And you know, borrow a line
Well,
from
he
shout out to
also
the
tore up
guy.
his car.
What'd you say?
He also tore up his car when she found out he was cheating on her. She like spray painted the car, like
Remember there
done
was
all kind of crazy stuff
stories.
in
Chicks came out with stories about how they had been with Shaq while he was married. They released tapes while he was married. So she had to eat that too. And you kind of feel like, I wonder if part of that is karma, because maybe in her heart of hearts she didn't love this dude. Maybe in her heart of hearts she didn't love him. So, it's kind of like that. What you throw out comes back to you.
It's kind of hard for me to say like she was actually loving that man. She loved the lifestyle, and she
Yeah, and
loved
she
what he
would
was
need
providing.
to interpret her words. Just to throw one more bow on this. She's got a book coming. She's had a book come out May 7th, right? So she had a book come out May 7th. This is the excerpt that comes out. This is what people are discussing. So she's married to a pastor now, still getting checks off of that relationship.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know her. I don't know anything about her.
You said
I'm
she's
just
married
dealing.
to a pastor?
She's married to a pastor. Her last name is no longer O'Neal. It's Henderson.
Mm.
He's married to a pastor. She is, I
She
believe
got
she
kids
referred to
from
herself
that?
as last lady.
She got kids from the new relationship?
I don't know. She's 49. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. And I don't really, to be 120, I don't really want to speak to the new relationship through the intricacies of it. I just want to focus on the fact of her statements, and the irony of it is that that's what comes out. Why is that even in a book? Why is that something to discuss? Because it's profitable for her.
Do you feel bad for Shaq?
I do. I do. I actually do. But I've felt bad for
I don't
NBA
feel
players for
bad
a
for
very
them.
long time. I do. No, I do. So I can't
Shaq is
explain
pushing a
to you.
billion.
Yeah, but you know what? The power of having unconditional love in your life is, I can't explain it. Like, all right,
Well,
so I'm not gonna get too deep into this, but I the way I grew up was different than the way most people grew up. Like I always
I'm
tell
just
people,
saying the power of having $1 billion will definitely soften the blow. All that
it
stuff
does, but it
with his
does,
wife
but it
is
doesn't.
like, yeah, that sucks. But you know what I mean?
It does, but
I'm
it
gonna go
doesn't.
take I'm gonna take a swim in the pool. I'm gonna go relax in the jacuzzi for a minute.
Yeah, but that money don't keep you
Let that
warm,
be.
brother. That money don't keep you warm. That money doesn't give you
It doesn't. It
that
does.
money.
It won't keep
That
you
money gives
warm.
you false security.
Money ain't everything, but it definitely helps.
What's the first thing dudes do when they get money? They buy things. Why do they buy those things? To go get women. Like, you know. So it
I
all
love
goes
the
hand in
women,
hand.
boy. God bless them. They
Yeah,
are
it's
good at what they do.
it's but yeah, I feel sorry for a lot of them young brothers because it's something that never gets discussed. They are prey. They are prey for
They're
financial people to steal their
preyed on.
money. They are prey for business people who have plans that are finely tuned to rob them. I mean, and they're prey for women who have eyes of lustful eyes or delusions of grandeur in the eyes of lifestyles with them. These brothers get
Promiscuous.
set up, and football is a little different story. But in the NBA, most of your NBA dudes were not like, they like to play tough guys, but they weren't tough guys. When dudes was out
Yeah.
shooting dice in the back of the club, they were working on their game, or else they wouldn't be in the NBA. When they were
Right.
when the people were out at parties, they were in the gyms working on their games. They like to think they about that life, but the fact of the matter is, most of them dudes were kept out of that life because people saw that they had a chance to do something with themselves. So it the fact that he had, but then he had to read that, and maybe she told him beforehand, but it doesn't matter. You got to read that. Think about it, dude. And he had said before that he messed up, that she was a good woman, yeah. But he's got to eat that. And you don't get mad at her. And, maybe he thinks to himself, that's why I cheated. But, maybe he also thinks to himself, I should have been better. It's just,
That
it's
is
just
probably why he cheated, though.
I definitely think that's why I cheated. I definitely think that's why I cheated. You can't fool people all the time. And love is something you can't fake. Like, you can't fake loving somebody. You can't
True.
fake, you know what I mean? Like, this is so out of pocket what I'm about to say. But
I got to ask you a question on that NBA relationships. I'm going to bring it up
think
to you.
about this. A man cheats on his wife and gets a tattoo and buys her a $10 million ring, and everything goes away. Like, that's a hard pill. That's a tough pill to swallow. Like,
What
the
about
essence
Grant
sorry is a
Hill?
dollar sign. You know what I mean?
What about Grant Hill and Tamia? Grant Hill was one of the better players that we've seen.
One of my favorite players of all time. Wish he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, and he's still married to the same woman that has that mask.
And she was
You
a
think he
famous
cheated
singer.
on his woman?
Do I think, well, that is not a game I'm going to play. I'm not playing that game. But I will say that their relationship is one of the outliers. You think about the dudes that have had success and you don't hear about craziness with them, they're usually the guys that are still with their high school sweethearts. Because she loved them whether they made it or not. Like, it was great that he may make it, but
they both made it at the same time. I mean, she was making
to me
music.
and Grant Hill.
Yeah, she was
Grant
making
Hill was
music.
already, when they met, Grant Hill was already in the league. Grant Hill's father was a professional athlete. His mother was Hillary Rodman's college roommate.
Oh, okay.
Man, so he had some good genes. I want to transition. Speaking of, I don't want to say good genes or I don't know how to transition this one, but Big Baby.
Turn the page.
This story is crazy, man. Because Brett Favre is free. Favre is free. So Big Baby's doing 40 months for defrauding the NBA's. I want to make sure I get it right. I don't want to get it. I want to make sure I get it right. Davis was accused by prosecutors of making $27,000 in claims for a dental procedure in Beverly Hills, even though he was traveling between Las Vegas and Paris on the day of the operation. He is one of more than a dozen players who have been charged in a criminal conspiracy. The former NBA player was sentenced in New York on Thursday to 40 months in prison for his involvement in an alleged $5 million scheme of defrauding the league's health.
Players?
Yeah, there was a dozen players in there. The league's health and welfare benefit plan. All right.
You would think you wouldn't have to do anything like that if you're under contract and you're making all this money, but you're like, F it, I'm just gonna get all this.
Well, the way it works, the way I understand it, the work is this. So when you're a player, your money goes into the healthcare plan goes to a pot. So when you retire and you need benefit, or when you retire and you need healthcare procedures, you don't have to pay all that money out of pocket. So technically, it's money that you put into a pot, into a savings plan that you then tap into when you retire. It's kind of like a benefits plan. So he was getting money that was already technically his, but he fraudulently made claims to get the money.
Right.
Something I tell people all the time. The punishment ain't got to fit the crime. The world we live in, the punishment ain't got to fit the crime. But Brett Favre is free.
True.
Brett Favre is free in these streets.
Refresh what Brett Favre did. He
took money from poor people in Mississippi. Brett Favre and the government of Mississippi took money that was supposed to go to people on welfare or people who were in the worst state. And when you, like, there's levels of poor. But when you pour in Mississippi, when you pour in the South, it's a whole nother world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When you're poor in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, that means you may not have lights in your home. Like that
Mm.
means you may not have running water in your
You gotta
house.
go to the outhouse, go to the
You got to
bathroom.
go to the outhouse. You're washing your clothes in a bucket. You're warming
Ooh,
up water. You're warming up water at
God
the.
bless
You're getting hot water from McDonald's up the street in a cup and using that to wash up.
you. Gee.
Like it's a whole nother level of destitute poor out there. So when you
Ooh.
take money from that dude, there's a special place for you. There's a
Yeah,
special
yeah,
place
yeah,
for you.
for real.
It's one of the
Yeah.
hottest places ever. And you get to rock with a dude
Every
that
the
used to be
media
an
looked
angel.
the other way though about that Brett Favre stuff. Even though he was totally just a lot of guys, NBA, NFL are bad people after they get out of the league.
See,
Period.
bad people, yo. They
A
gonna say
lot of them were.
people. They gonna say they're all bad people though.
I said a lot of them. I didn't say all of them.
I don't know if they're bad people, but the punishment does not have
Well,
to
I
fit
was
the crime.
referencing the Brett Favre. That's a bad thing to
That's a
do.
bad look. And he is a guy that's a bad look. I don't know how else to say it. That's a bad look. And when you consider the fact that what but again, like you can't and the punishment doesn't have to fit the crime. Big Baby can't do what he did, or Glen Davis can't do what he did. And he was already on probation for something else, for conspiracy to sell or some sort of crazy charges. I'm not gonna get
Mm-hmm.
into because I don't know the ins and outs of the case. But I know he paid like 15,000 to avoid jail time, and he's still going to jail. So think about this for a minute, right? You go from NBA player, NBA champion, playing two NBA finals, playing
Yeah.
in Boston, Los Angeles,
To
to
prison.
inmate number 77827584.
I would put suicide alert on that man because he's like,
Nah, he ain't gonna kill. Let's not put that in the air. He's 6'8". He should be no. What's he? He's 6'8", right?
I don't know, he's a big dude, man.
He's a big dude, big dude, big dude. That's man, you talk about a fall from grace. You go from getting the best of the best to
For
trying not
what
to
though
drop
exactly?
so
Like, what was he trying to gain? He was
he
trying to
wanted
get
the
some.
money. He wanted the money. It makes sense
Why did he want the money? Like, was he trying to? He had money, right?
because all right, I can break this down for you easy. All right, you come into the NBA, you spent the first 18 years of your life living on a $500 a month budget. So you have mastered how to get everything you want and need to $500. Now you get $5 million. You no longer operate on a $500 budget. You operate on a $5 million budget because it's an easier transition. You got money, you can do it. And so then you got to learn about taxes, mutual funds, all that stuff. So then you go from a $5 million budget to 2.5 million. But either way, you don't go back to that $500 budget. So now you live a
Mm,
lifestyle of a person that brings in $2.5 million. Then it
right.
stops. And you don't want to go back to the $500 budget, but you know you can't sustain a 2.5 million. So you're trying to find a happy medium. So then you start doing foolish stuff to get money because you're trying to keep up as close as possible to the 2.5 instead of finding that adjustment that's closer to the 500. That's how these dudes go broke. In a nutshell, bottom line is when you get money, right? Yes, you were talking about all the money they make. To us, is a lot of money because we're looking at it from the lifestyle that we
Right.
lead. But their
Right.
lifestyle
It's not a lot.
changes. Yeah. So when you get that money, and I was having this conversation with my daughter, you get this money, like, yo, you have to find a way to keep your lifestyle as close to what it was before.
Right. Yes.
So he don't have to go back to the $500 a month, but maybe he does 1,000. But I'm saying that from a person who's never been on a $2.5 million budget. But that's the best way to sustain money. You'd be
It seems
surprised
like Jay Hurts when he got his first deal, he was like, "I'm gonna just take part of it out, do what I gotta do, and the rest is just gonna go on my savings account."
Well,
And
you talking about football players? You talking about Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, yeah.
Football
And this
players
was
are a
on
little
the first
different
deal.
monster because their lives are regimented. Like to be a professional football player, you practice more than you play. Spend time watching film, you're studying. You're doing one-on-one, you're doing individual practice, then you got team practice, then you got to go back and break down your practice. So they don't really, their life is a little different. NBA players, you practice for 3 hours, done. You're done. Then it's all about what you want to be as a player. You want to be a star, you want to go home. So then you put in work after practice. But football players, it's a completely different mindset.
So
But
you're
that's why he
basically
wanted the
saying
money.
at the max, an NBA player is going to do in regards to basketball is 3 to 4 hours in the day, and they have the rest of the day after that.
That's what
Are
basketball
they working
players. That's
film or anything like that, or they don't have?
they can, but you play so many games, you play so many games, you got so much going on. It's hard to sit down and watch film. You can watch film in the playoffs because you get that day off and you're going against the same team. But it's tough. They watch film on a plane, they watch film on the buses, but it's tough. That's why the
Yo,
offseason.
how much is gambling a part of the NBA?
What do you mean? Elaborate.
Like
You
they're on
got
the plane,
8 minutes
they're
too.
gambling, huh?
Yeah, they're on a plane, they gamble. They do a lot of things to get that competitive fire up that they're used to. They do a lot of things for that. But I mean, like realistically, you're dealing with young men with disposable income. And then you got I love the story about why LeBron James left Miami. One of the best stories ever. The Heat, and when LeBron was on the Heat, they had either just lost the game or something. And Pat Riley's pissed. So he comes on the plane. He's like, you know what? Everybody's going on a diet. Throw those cookies away, right? LeBron James loves chocolate chip cookies, apparently, or love those chocolate chip cookies. So he gets on the plane and he says, "Excuse me, stewardess, can I get, can you get me a couple of the chocolate chip cookies?" And she said, "Oh, we don't have any more cookies." And he says, "Yes, you do." And this is the first account. This is the first-hand story from a reliable person who was there. He said, "Yeah, you do. I saw him when I left to go to the game." He said, "Yeah, Pat Riley threw him all away." And they said the look on LeBron's face when he threw away his cookies, it's like, yeah, all right, okay, I'm out. So, you talk about gambling on the plane, you talk about all those things or gambling, all that. But NBA players, man, it all comes down to they are, I don't want to say big kids, but they are still 20-something-year-old men or 20-something-year-olds who have childlike tendencies. They got 4 hours where they got to be responsible, and then the rest of the day they can do whatever they want. They can eat chocolate chip cookies if they want. They can watch film. They can gamble, do whatever they want. That's why they get in trouble. That's why Big Baby was trying to get that money back. It's sad that he's going to spend 3.5. I hate to see anybody go to prison when there's so many other people that should be in prison.
Rejoin.
You know what I mean? I hate to see that. It really hurts my soul because I don't think it solves anything. Like prison was supposed to be a place you went when you were a detriment to society, a threat to society. I don't think Glen Davis is a threat to society. However, he did have 2 federal crimes.
Yeah.
So you
You
can't
do the
say that. You
crime,
know
you
what I
got to
mean?
do the time, baby. That's it.
Punishment ain't
And
got to fit
people,
the crime.
it's tough. It's tough. It's a bad situation. The judicial system is hard for things like that, but that's why it's best to
But you
be
know
more.
that going in. You know that going in. You know if I rob this bank and Dylan robs this bank, there's a good chance I'm going to do more time than Dylan. So maybe I shouldn't do it. There's always room for no. There's always room for no.
A lot of people don't have that discernment and
No,
moments
a
that
lot of
we
people
have.
do. A lot of people do. I use this math. A lot of people do. There's 30
I
teams in
mean, the
the
ones that
NBA?
don't, that's why we're hearing about them.
Yeah. But a lot of
Because
people do.
if they did have them, we wouldn't hear about
So with
them.
300 players in the NBA, 12 did this. And you can say how many former players, but there's over 300 players in the NBA. 12 did this. So the numbers don't send a lot or a little. It's a minuscule amount, but it's still tragic when you. And like I said, Brett Favre is free.
Brett Favre is free.
Makes my neck itch. Hurts
And
my
Brett
soul.
Favre ain't going nowhere.
Hurts my spirit. They ain't gonna put him in jail in Mississippi.
That's a bad jail out there, bro.
He not gonna put him in jail though. But
No, they're not. They're not.
we
He's
got
gonna.
4 minutes left. Let me say this way: they're not gonna put him in jail, but the person who couldn't get the money that he stole, that wound up selling weed, is in
Yeah.
jail.
Yes. They put
How you
him
like
on.
them apples?
Yeah.
How you like them apples? Crazy.
With life
All right,
life,
man.
bro.
That's life we live. All right, bro. I was gonna get to the soft story, but it doesn't look like we're gonna make it there.
What was the other story that we were gonna discuss?
Charles Barkley called New York overrated, called the whole state
A little bit
overrated.
overrated. Yeah. What else?
What are we judging him for? Well,
What
in B,
Trump?
the stories we were supposed to
Trump
do,
selling Bibles.
Trump selling Bible shit. Trump is gonna make his money. You know what's crazy about that quickly? There are multiple billionaire developers in the state of New York. Multiple.
Of course.
They are watching this Trump trial like this. They are going to make sure he does not lose his, because if Trump goes, you're going to tell me Trump is the only, like we've been through this. We know he ain't the sharpest pencil in the box. He ain't the sharpest pencil out of the bunch. He ain't the hottest French fry in the back. Like, we know this. So he got this idea from somebody, we can safely assume. So the people watching like, yo, we can't let Donnie go down, man. We got to make sure Donnie gets that money. We got to make sure he does something so he don't go to jail. He don't lose his, because if they're going to take Donnie down, they're going to take us down next.
Yeah, I don't
Donnie
know.
T, you don't know about what?
Donnie may be the fall guy of that whole situation. Everybody else.
Donnie T ain't going to do a day in jail, man. This is all for nothing. This is all for nothing.
I'm not saying it's all for nothing because he definitely owed that woman
He'll be in
$95.
jail with protective custody.
Huh?
He'll be in jail with protective custody.
No, he's not. But like I said, there's going to come at him whether it's civilly or whether it's just destroying his whole empire.
They're never going to break Donnie T financially. They're never going to take his. He has friends in other countries. What's our favorite movie? He has friends on the other side. With the Princess and the Frog. I got friends on the other side. They'll never let Donnie T go broke, though. He's not going to go broke. He's not going to be in a soup kitchen. He ain't going to be defrauding for 27 grand. It's not going to happen. He's going to die a
I
rich
can
man.
stand that, but I don't know. I don't want to say he's not.
He gonna die a rich man. And you know how they say you can't take with you in your casket? He gonna be surrounded by money in his casket. Because that's how Donnie T rolls. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with Joe Smoke Frizzy and Kwame Fisher Jones. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'm sure you like, share, subscribe to whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. And as always, until next time, we appreciate you here. You be easy.